Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Professor Dr. Mushtak Al-Atabi.
Thank you very much. Interestingly, that just before my talk, the VC left. But that's okay. You are still here. So the talk is about entrepreneurial mindset. And I think the mindset is a very important thing. I think it's what really differentiates us as humans from other animals and other species. So let's just spend some time understanding what really differentiates us as people from other species. And let's say, if I were to take another animal, let's say a gorilla, and, and let's say I'm representing the human race to compete against this gorilla over a bottle of water in this room, let's say. Who do you think is going to win this competition? Who you think that the gorilla would win? Raise your hand. Okay. Who do you think I would win? Oh, you guys really have a great faith in me. Well, thank you very much. But you see, I won't be able to fight a gorilla. Even, it's stronger than maybe 10, 15 men. Now, if there are 5 of us, maybe myself and the people here, who do you think is going to win? 5 gorillas or 5 human beings? Human? Okay, now becoming more realistic. So because I have other people, right, that you don't really believe in them. So I think the gorilla is going to win again. They are very, very strong. Now, what's going to happen if there are 1,000 of us and 1,000 gorillas? Now, mathematics changes here for a very simple reason. Not necessarily because we suddenly become better, but because other species find it difficult to collaborate among themselves. As a matter of fact, 1,000 gorilla, I think most likely are going to maybe kill each other. They're going to fight with each other. Now, what makes us human is that we are the only species where we can collaborate flexibly in large numbers. There are other species that collaborate, like ants and bees, but they don't collaborate flexibly. They collaborate only for a very specific thing. There are other species where they could actually collaborate very flexibly, like lions when they hunt, but they can't collaborate in large numbers. So we are the only species that actually can collaborate flexibly and in large numbers. You can have thousands of people working on single project. You can have millions of people calling themselves Malaysians or calling themselves whatever they want to call themselves. And this goes back to the fact that our brains are designed to be able to tell stories. And these stories that we tell together, they actually combine us. They are the glue that will get people from all walks of life to feel in a certain way. So we all tell stories to ourselves. All of us do that. There are 2 stories about who we are as an identity. So people will define themselves with their nationality, with their job, with their family relationship, and also stories about how does the world work. So if someone says, I'm a lucky person, this is actually just a story. If someone says, I'm hated, this is just a story that the person tells themselves. So interestingly, these stories are driven by the language that we use. So the words that we use power the stories that we tell. So if we just choose to use positive words, that will somehow go into our stories and start to impact them in a certain way. And eventually, these stories, which sometimes you call mindset, are going to drive our behavior. So I can give you many examples, but let me start with a negative example. Researchers have noticed that before a human group can impact harm on another group in what we call genocide, they always start by changing the language that's used to describe the other group. So they start telling them bad names, they start to describe them in very negative language. Then we can tell stories about them, negative stories, and then the behavior could be to actually harm the other group. In order for us to be able to stop this flow from language to stories to behavior, is the layer of awareness is very necessary. So this, what you've seen here, imagine it as an iceberg of our existence. The bit that you see is the behavior, but what drives it is really the language, the stories, and also the level of the awareness. So it's language, narrative, awareness, and regulation. So when we talk about mindset, whether it's an entrepreneurial mindset or any kind of mindset, it starts by telling a different story. And the best way to tell a different story is to actually choose our language very, very carefully. So I think the entrepreneurial mindset would be about challenges and opportunity. That's a story. If I try hard enough, I can do it. We've seen the speaker earlier. He said, yes, I had difficulties, but I think I can try. I can add value, even if I don't have a degree. Failure is an opportunity. It adds color to your life. We just heard that. Other people can help me. Now, if you've noticed, these are things that are maybe not what we see in an entrepreneurial course. People will teach you about balance sheet, about business plans, and the rest of it. And they are important, but they are not as important as the mindset. As a matter of fact, Sir Richard Branson says that he can't, until now, read a financial statement. He can't. He just can't. But he's a very, very successful entrepreneur. So I'm going to share few things that I have done to help myself, my colleagues, and also my students to become more entrepreneurial. I banned the use of the P word, and the P word is P-R-O-B-L-E-M. I banned it. And whenever it comes in the language, people have to use opportunity. Even if something negative is happening, you have to describe it as an opportunity. And I run this in my massive open online courses, and this is an example of one of the students who actually managed to climb a mountain, because of he has followed this kind of thinking. This is another example of a student from Italy who was able to start his own business in taking tourists around the historic places in Italy, and he sort of attribute this to the mindset that he was able to develop through my courses. So use a positive language, because a positive language is going to help a positive story, a positive mindset. This is an example of my senior management team, the registrar, the deputy provost, the director of research. So we all don't use the P word in our office. Now, the other thing is, when we have a direction in life, we can be good entrepreneurs as well. If you go now to my university and ask a student, what do you do? Students will tell you, I'm doing actuarial science, I'm doing chemical engineering, I'm doing business and finance. And that's really great, but I have a dream. And my dream is, you go to my university and ask students, what do you do? They will look you in the eye and they will say, before I graduate, I'm going to plant 1 million trees, because these trees, through their lifetime, they are going to remove 100,000 tons of CO2 from the atmosphere. And by the way, I'm a chemical engineer. So I call the first part an impact statement. And now every student in my university has to develop an impact statement in their first year of study. In order for us to genuinely be able to tell the students to do that, we decided that all of us, all the academic staff and the professional services staff, will develop their own impact statement. This is a picture of the first batch of our colleagues who have developed their impact statement. I want to share my impact statement with you. I'm a storyteller. My purpose is to help others tell empowering stories about themselves and the world we live in. I dedicate my life to supporting our youth to be their best as they identify their impact, harness their talent, and become purposeful individuals. So imagine if the entire community is actually behaving in such a way. So the first thing, change your language. The second thing is to develop an impact statement. The third thing, which was I would like to add as an important thing for having an entrepreneurial mindset, is that level of awareness that we put between the language, the stories, and the behavior. And these are things that we just take for granted. Actually, we need to develop. We need to take that pause the previous speaker talked about and be aware of who we are, where do we stand, and what's going on. So now we have developed a program. We call it Empower. And that program is to help students develop their impact statement, develop their emotional intelligence, develop their awareness. And there is a video here. If someone can help me to play, I would like to share with you.
How excited and how happy I am to be here. Honestly, you are the best that humanity has to offer. You are the latest model. You are the youth of the nation. You are the people who are going to make this world a better place. The Empower program is a program that goes in 4 stages. It starts by knowing and leading self. It moves towards leading teams, leading communities, and eventually leading enterprise. It introduces the students to activities through them. They can define their impact, write their own impact statement, and be clear of their own purpose and what brings meaning to their life.
The Empower session, I actually feel very empowered, and he has this thing where he tends to make us feel like we can do anything and there's nothing that we cannot do.
Today was a reminder for me and remind us that emotional intelligence is one of the priorities in our life other than IQ.
This is my first session, and Professor Mushtak made it very enlightening to know how to control emotional intelligence and eventually in work life and how to be a productive member of society.
Research has shown that emotional intelligence and also mental resilience are the skills that we will need to succeed in this century, especially with disruptive technology and automation. And we are on the front foot. We are preparing our students for that future. Be empowered.
So we need to be positive. We need to be self-aware. But you've noticed, while our ultimate aim is to get students to lead enterprise, we have to start by leading self, moving to leading teams, then leading communities. Only then we can go ahead and lead enterprise. This is a picture of me with my father that has been taken very long time ago. And this is a picture of me that was taken in January when we have given the Sultan of Selangor an honorary doctorate. And when the picture to your left was on social media, a friend told me, when you were a child in Baghdad in Iraq, have you ever thought of walking next to Malaysian royalty in a Scottish kilt? And the answer is, I have never thought of that. Now the idea is, I'm not telling that my life is special in any way or form, but I think life is just a story, and we need to be able to use the right language to tell it. I would like to end with this quote: those who tell stories rule the world. Teach your students to tell the right stories. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.